Today, we're going to talk about the dreaded COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about COVID.
Everybody and their brother has talked about COVID.
I know.
Everybody. I mean, it's all over the news. Every EMS station in the whole world is talking about it. What's so special about what we do about it?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Schetz, and I'm the lead medic.
Hi, I'm James Schetz, and well, I'm the lead medic. And together, we're the Whiny Medics.
Well, we're gonna talk about some different things with it. How about like the aftermath of COVID, or
the aftermath?
A couple of things we've had to change for COVID.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and the fact that people are tired of damn COVID.
I think that's the best part when they're tired. But hey, as always,
it would not be a podcast if we did not talk about COVID.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'd be missing out just like everybody else. So, but wait a minute. It's that time.
What time is it?
It's wine down time. What do we got today for wines?
I've been dreaming about this one.
Yeah.
So this is called Kiss My Chocolate.
Kiss My Chocolate.
Yeah.
That's got a big old donkey on it.
It does.
Yeah.
And can people see this?
Mm-hmm.
So It's got a big old donkey with some lips on its butt. But so this is Fat Ass Winery, Fat Ass Ranch and Winery.
I really don't like how you call me Fat Ass. It's not very nice.
So it is weird saying
it is
Fat Ass Winery, but it's catchy. So this particular bottle we bought about a month ago.
Yeah, probably about a month ago.
So went out to the winery. Fat Ass Winery.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only time I get to say bad words on this podcast.
You say them all the time.
I do
not. I've heard
Mother,
you like 3
don't
times.
Listen to him.
Oh my goodness.
So we went out there. We checked out a few wines. We talked to a few people. We actually met the owner, Gail. So the owners of Fat Ass are Gail and Jenny. And if you read, they put a little blurb on the back of their bottle that states that, they had this winery or this ranch, and they were living the good life, and noticed that their pants were getting a little tight and their dog was getting a little big. And one day they were out on the ranch, and their donkey had a big old ass on it.
Wait a minute. Donkey with a big ass.
Yeah. So they decided they lived on the Fat Ass Ranch. So, anyway, so the lady that we talked to about this wine, because I was really trying to pick some wines that I had not tasted previously, and this was a new one. And I was worried that it was going to be like a port. I'm not too big on ports.
Yeah.
Yeah. With what with our surgery that we had, it's just kind of hard to drink those really sweet, thick.
Yeah, exactly. Really, yeah.
So this one, though, is actually a red wine with hints of chocolate flavor, or dark chocolate flavor with it. And they actually said to pair it with a strawberry wine and make like a chocolate covered strawberry.
Oh, that we may have to try that later on.
Yeah. But James and I had the idea that we were going to put it on ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Ice cream. I mean, wine and ice cream. What else can be better than that? I mean, it's like...
And chocolate.
And chocolate. I mean, chocolate
Can't
wine.
ask for better.
I mean, that's almost as good as like a wine shake.
It is. Fat Ass Winery is in Fredericksburg.
Fredericksburg, yes. And they've got a really cool sister winery that's right beside them. That is the Garage Wines.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't quite made it there, but we will make it there because they've got a really cool venue there as well. Both venues are super awesome. Outdoor venues, real relaxed, really cool areas. So if you're over towards the Fredericksburg off of 290, it's super cool to go there. But hey, I'm kind of thirsty, and we just finished eating, and then you said this was a dessert wine.
Well, I think it is.
Wow. I hope so.
What are you doing?
I'm smelling it. I'm trying to learn.
Are you gonna swirl
it? Smell. Yeah, we don't drink wine. I just drink it. All right.
You gotta back up from that mic.
Do it. Oh, sorry. That's a good thing.
It's actually pretty good.
For a red wine.
So
yeah.
I can tell it's a red wine. I can tell it's a little dry, but it's got a real strong chocolate flavor to it.
Yeah.
You gotta check it out again.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So while we were there, or if you go to Fat Ass Winery, they have a pretty big outdoor area that you can sit at.
They've got food trucks.
And then they have little carts that'll take you to the Garage Winery. And at Garage Winery, correct me if I'm wrong, they have like a car museum.
They do. They've got and they were running like some kind of special to where if you paid for something on the little tram, they gave you a tour of the vineyard, and you got access to this garage that has all of these older cars in it that are super awesome. And we were running late that day, so we didn't get the opportunity, but we have full plans on going back because of the fact that, well, of course, there's a couple vehicles there that me and my buddy, we wanted to buy, but we were told by our wives no. So, but whatever.
So maybe we were planning on going out there in October. Hey, Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest. Wait a minute. When it comes Oktoberfest, can we do beer?
Yes.
Because I just had a really good Oktoberfest beer the other day.
Yes.
All right.
So when we go in October, we'll make sure to take many pictures and videos of the wineries that we visit and maybe post them on our Facebook page.
Oh, for sure. We'll put those on there, as well as we can record some video getting out there and kind of hanging out with those people. But hey, okay, so wind down time. We're going to continue to drink these and kind of relax. This is really good.
Yeah.
The good thing is
it's been a long day.
It has been one of those days.
Did I tell you that Nicole tried to kill me? I think I died a little bit today.
Oh, why didn't she finish the job? Oh, never mind. I didn't say that on camera. I was just joking. But
so my side gig, I'm the shakeista. I'm the shakeista. And she was like, "Hey, you should come to spin tonight." It's her first night back teaching spin after her maternity leave.
Like spin around in circles?
No, like spin, like get on the stationary bicycle and try to kill yourself.
No, wait a minute. See, now I don't see much point in that because of the fact that, why get on a bicycle that doesn't go anywhere? I mean,
well, it's exercise. It makes you lose weight. So,
well, yeah, maybe I should hop on that bike one day.
Maybe. So she taught me into this, and I went, and I think a little bit of my soul died. I made it through.
Yeah.
I think I sat a little longer on my seat a few times than the others did, but we'll see how I feel tomorrow. I think the wine's going to help.
You got to start somewhere. There's nothing wrong with starting somewhere. So ultimately, let's get back to work.
Okay.
We got to get back to
Fat Ass Winery, please.
Yes.
If you're local and you have the opportunity to go to Fredericksburg, that is one of the wineries you would like to check out. It's right on the outskirts of Fredericksburg.
Yeah, it's just
can't miss it.
Yeah,
it says Fat Ass. Okay, I'm done saying that. Fat ass.
You were getting way too happy with that.
Fat ass.
Okay. But anyway, so back to COVID. Now, we discussed, a lot of people have discussed COVID. They've talked about the fact of COVID, such a horrible disease, such this and that. But my biggest thing with COVID is the fallout from it and what EMS has done. I think the coolest thing that we've really seen is just how flexible compared to a lot of the medical, for the medical field, EMS is completely flexible at what we're doing before we get these patients to the thing. And that's where it starts at. I mean, everybody knows that COVID starts out at the house and then they have to be transported to the hospital. They're the ones who are calling us. and we started the chain with getting them to the hospital and things like that. And I think that made a difference on how we were managing that, how we
Yeah.
handled that.
Everybody was told initially, don't go to the hospital, stay home. Here's a self-care sheet of how to take care of yourself. We have these drive-in testings, so we're not bombarding the ERs. Here you go. And we were expecting this big influx of patients and calls, and the ERs were preparing for this big, massive,
It's called medical surge.
medical surge. I like that.
That's it. No, that's exactly what it's
Okay.
called. The medical surge. Now, it did happen. Don't get me wrong. This did happen in a lot of places. Look at New York. They ran rampant up in New York.
Yeah.
California, medical surge hit them. But it never really by the time it got to the central part of the United States, it never really overran us because we were prepared by that time.
I think so,
We
yeah.
prepared ourselves and prepared the way we were going to manage it at that point in time.
And of
We
course,
did-
that's by who you ask.
Exactly. I'm sure if we had people in here from the hospital staff, those nurses were working, like crazy. And we had some of our nurses who were here in our local area that were leaving to go up to New York, to
They did.
California to help out and to help out with that surge that they had. But we didn't have that near as bad here.
No.
And I think that's where we all expected our call volumes to just skyrocket. We're like, oh my gosh, it's call, and they did completely opposite.
Yeah, people didn't want to go. I had patients that truly needed to go to the ER. Look, you have no peripheral pulses. I really need you to go to the hospital with me. You're going to die. And nope. COVID's at the hospital. I'm not going. I'll wait.
Yeah, and that was the interesting thing, is the fact that here we are waiting for this big flux of patients, the big call numbers, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
A lot of places actually decreased the amount of people that they had on staffs because of it, because of the decrease in calls. A lot of revenue was lost from a lot of departments because of the fact that they weren't having the transfers. They weren't having that. But we managed, and we
We did.
managed a lot of it. Now, what did COVID do good for us that I really like is the fact that those patients that didn't need to go to the hospital before, and we've been trying for years to prevent them from going when they went, they decided not to go anymore. And they realized that stubbed toe really didn't need to go to the hospital, because if you go to the hospital, you can get bad stuff there.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference to them. And it made the impact that maybe later on they would realize that wasn't a big enough issue to go to the hospital, that maybe that would carry on through later on that we see. So some of the things that we looked at is our call volumes decreasing where we expected them to come up. And that's one of the major fallouts that changed a lot of how we ran for a while.
Yeah.
So then we look at changes in protocols. I'm not as on the truck as near as much as you are anymore. How did your protocol changes take place?
A lot of our changes were not so much protocol changes, but just the way we did things, right? Like for the medical people listening. So CPAPs, intubations, neb treatments, even oxygen, at times. And so CPAP and intubation, do we need to? Do those patients truly need that at this point? And that's kind of where we were like, oh, they need to be intubated. We need to CPAP them. We need to do this. Let's go. And now we were at, okay, do they need it? What are the repercussions of doing that going to be? So, we even had, this suggestion by our medical director that, if you can, if you're not out in the side of the road, if you need to intubate, open the back doors, open the windows, turn down the air conditioning all the way up. Everybody has PPE on, and have a wind tunnel effect. Who would have ever thought that you were going to intubate a patient with the doors wide open, AC running, so you could, field all that air going out and away from you, right?
Well, actually, that was, it's funny that he come up with that. Super smart doctor, by the way, because of the fact that CDC.
Are you saying that because you know he's going to listen?
Well, yeah, not only that, but on top of that, but, the CDC just come back and was looking at that. It wasn't so much, they were explaining how that people, even though you've got the masks and everything else that are working for us, are cutting our numbers back. But it's the ventilation in an area that decreases the risks of us. It's not so much the 6 foot distance anymore. They're like, the 6 foot doesn't really matter. It matters on the ventilation for that area and giving that time, because the droplets actually do carry out further than 6 foot. I mean, some people, that guy. That guy that talks when he spits when he talks, which happens to me after.
Or like when you sneeze.
Yeah. An average sneeze that's not covered can go like 11 foot.
Yeah, I think yours is like 15.
Yeah, I mean, it can have
some forceful sneeze.
It happens, but ultimately that is not the issue. CDC is saying ventilation, so it's not out of the realm to say that, hey, open up all your windows, open up your doors, allow that wind tunnel to come through and kind of move that out of there.
Yeah.
But once you get to where you can't do that, you got to open every window. You better turn on your vents, those vents that we've never used before, except for
the one that you don't know what it's for.
Yeah.
What is that for? I know it's there.
That vent, the one that helps get the smell out when you cut that patient. We all know. I mean, it's happening.
Don't lie. Y'all know.
Exactly. So, that's what the vent was. It helps get that out. And those vents are actually capable of moving a lot of air in a short period of time. So that made a huge difference. Not only that, but what about CPR? Did y'all, and this is one of my questions that I asked about a lot of my classes when COVID first came out and we first started making protocol changes, was CPR changes to doing intubations, changes to getting into face, things like that. Hands only CPR being used up until the point where we can throw in a King Airway.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of services using sheets to cover their patients when they bag and intubate. You saw at the ERs, the big, plexiglass boxes that they were using to intubate. We didn't do that. If we needed to intubate, we made sure that we wore our PPE. We did what we needed to do. I have taken several COVID patients, luckily, and I have not had, oh gosh.
Yeah. Don't beat on my tables.
I have not had to do that just yet. So, but, I have a great partner and I don't have to ask him for anything, but, we have our goggles, our N95s, and then we put a face mask over our N95 because we're trying like heck to preserve those N95s. If you're in the ER, when we take our transfers out, which has been where most of mine have been, they give you the little bouffant, they give you the little booties. I usually, me, I'm a germophobic, so I put on a pair of gloves, a gown, a pair of gloves. And then Richard came down one day and said, "Hey, I have these shields." I was like, "What?" So he came out with these shields that, you put on, has the elastic put on the back of your head, and it came down and it covered from your forehead all the way down to past your chin. And we're like, "Oh, I love you, Richard." And I was like, it's kind of, it's great. It's hard to see through this. Anyway, we took our transfer and I didn't have to worry, about anything on my face, my goggles, I felt pretty secure, right? And if I had to have intubated, I feel pretty confident with that. The funny part was we got to the hospital and he was looking at me and then he looked at his shield. Yeah, there was like this plastic film you were supposed to peel off of it, which would have made it a lot easier to see. Lesson learned.
Yeah, that's usually how we figure it out later on.
Right. But we have these neat little tools that we never had before. We had those little surgical masks with this little shield that was like this, but these are like shields. And then you see the doctors wearing like the Max Airs,
which made a fortune on doing this. I mean, they spread those things out like wildfire and trying to get them all over the place.
So funny enough, we had like 6 or 7 of those things, but they were during the big Ebola.
Oh, Ebola, yes.
Yeah. And
how we all prepared for that when it really,
sadly, a lot of that went to waste.
Mm-hmm. But, the good thing is we still have those resources still available to us. We can utilize those on a regular basis. And not only that, but, as long as we keep them in good working condition, they will be here for the next time we have this thing happen. I think the changing of the N95, I think it was really interesting to see how N95 spread out to all the medical fields. And it really didn't matter whether they were expired. We realized that those expiration dates on things like that, they still work, they still function properly. And we realized how to make those things last longer. I think a lot of research with COVID took place initially that helped us out in making sure that we were able to keep ourselves, safe as much as possible. Now, I'm part of that group that got, sent home for quarantine because we had one of the guys come in and they were sick.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they were sick because they didn't catch it from a patient. They catch it from somebody at home, and that happens. And we all have that risk because we have lives. But at the same time, we really got to look at how the other shifts come in and compensate for that and really work that out for them. I think that made a huge difference in how our departments run that way.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm telling you, being a germophobic in this day and age, just people are surprised already that I'm in the medical field with this issue, right? I probably wash my hands more than anyone else in that system, my system. But now, my mind races like, well, I took my first set of gloves off. I took my N95 off. I made sure my strings didn't, touch the exposed part, put it in my brown bag. But wait, now I got to clean my hand because I still got to take other stuff off. I mean, my mind really spins in this, at some point you got to think, okay, where do you stop with some of this, right? I mean, we have our cleaners, we have our bleach cleaners, we have our Virexes, we have our purple tops, our sandy wipes, which, hey, has been taken care of like COVID. Of course, it's a different strain for how long? The vet tech I met today said this strain of COVID has been around for years in cats.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been cleaning after it for years. They use the red top sandy wipes. So, I mean, interesting. They even have a vaccine for cats for COVID.
But yeah, we're still working on ours, which, that brings in.
Well, I mean, I don't want a cat vaccine.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because I wouldn't mind the horse tranquilizer, which is also known as
cat.
No. But yet we use the horse tranquilizer that is ketamine on our patients all the time. I mean, it's not too far-fetched to use those animal things that are made for animals, things like that, the antibiotics, things like that, and use them for the human consumption after proper testing. I think that's it. And I think we're realizing with COVID that the testing and everything that's entailed to creating this antivirus or the vaccine. I think it's amazing how quickly these scientists are all over the fact of trying to get one done. Now, and a lot of people are going to say, well, there's no way I would take it off the bat. I'd wait and allow it to be out there for a little bit, allow it to go through trials.
And there's a lot of people who don't believe in COVID.
Yeah.
And we're not here to dispute any of that.
No,
we're just discussing what we've seen and what we've experienced.
And I think the biggest thing is we've seen the patients who are sick. I mean, one of the patients that I've carried that had COVID, literally, that is, I know that look when you look, the look of scared, I think I feel like I'm going to die. And that's what she had. And that really, truly, that's when you realize that COVID, no matter everybody says the public's, the political side of it, it's a thing for our patients that we transport. And I think that's how we need to look at this. This is a patients who are sick and they need to be taken care of.
But if you've had COVID,
Oh, yeah.
believe in COVID.
For sure. I mean,
But definitely back to the, how we handle it, the CPAPs. And, at some point you've got to think, do I CPAP? Do I neb? Anything that's an aerosol, that's, I saw a picture where somebody,
no more wine for you.
that wine.
I don't even know why.
The picture showed a patient room. You didn't see the patient. You just saw the covered feet in the bed, but you saw this huge aerosol cloud coming from their neb mask.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't realize, especially when we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, taking care of the patient, how far that aerosol goes and spreads. And we've got pins out, we got paper out, we've got other equipment out.
Oh, yeah.
If you open your shelf to get something out of your cabinet, Richard and I have a system. And it was discussed at our company that if you needed anything, you grabbed it out of the airway bag instead of opening your shelf and cabinet and then, possibly infecting anything that's in there. So we minimized our area and just went to our airway bag or our drug bag, whatever we needed, we got out of there. So there's changes that we made that weren't so much protocol changes. It was just the way we did things.
I think
we
so.
did get also, like, if you're going to CPAP, if you're going to intubate, we got some different filters, to help with that as well. So
yeah, and that's, we had just put on a new vent in our service.
Oh, boy.
And that new vent required new filters, HEPA filters, things like that. Needed HEPA filters for, things like that. They needed those filters that, well, of course, some of them were on back order. So it delayed us putting in some of those things. I think one of the things that's interesting to me with the fallout of COVID, and I say the fallout, I mean the aftermath of COVID, is we realized as Americans really how dirty we are.
Yep.
I mean, look at how we have plastic shields between us and every cashier that we walk into any more convenience stores, the grocery store, every place you go, there's a plastic shield between us that wasn't there 9 months ago. At the first of the year, January 1st, there was no such thing as a plastic shield in front of our HEB. There was never a line to go into that HEB ever. We realized at this point in time just how dirty, and how acceptable, we really allowed viruses to spread. I think it's interesting, not only that, but to look at it and turn around and see how minimizing contact decreased the actual spread of COVID. And we look at it and say, yes, there's a lot of people that passed away. There's a lot of disease people. There was a lot of things that took place with COVID. But I think ultimately, when we stopped it or decreased it like we did, I was listening to Governor Abbott just the other day saying we're at some of the lowest points of COVID that we've had yet.
Yeah, we just had some more stuff open up.
Yeah. So with that, we were doing this and taking the steps necessary to prevent some of that. And I think that makes a huge difference on how we continue on. Do you ever foresee us taking down the plastic shields ever again? I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? You can say yes. At the same time, you can say, well, then we introduce the flu every year. We look at those
is
things.
On the rise right now.
Exactly. Flu's coming out. It's flu season. It's starting to come up. Everybody's starting to get their flu shots.
I don't think the shields are necessarily a terrible thing. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, are they really hurting us? I mean, are they protecting the worker from other things? I mean,
I think so, because you're in that close proximity of each other. And I think people like you who are the germaphobes, you love that idea because of the fact that you don't have to worry about, that guy who always spits when he talks, things like that. So I think that's one thing. I said, but on top of that, I think there's a lot of other things that we didn't realize what COVID created for us. Let's talk about other call volumes that now that it's subsided, the world is starting to open up and allow more and more things take place.
Well, before you get there, I do want to mention, we talked about how dirty we are
Mhm.
and what COVID has kind of brought to us from that. One of the things that is just driving me insane is COVID has also shown me truly, again, how dirty we can be as humans, that there are gloves and face masks all over the place.
All
They're
over.
in ditches, they're on the side of the roads, they're
Yep.
in the parking lots.
People just come out and
name
they
it.
just throw it and they don't care.
Yeah.
Which of course, on my side of things, I hate littering. It's just,
Mhm.
it takes 2 seconds to throw a piece of paper away. Don't mess with Texas. I'm a huge fan of don't mess with Texas.
Not only that, in the EMS world and in the hospital world, healthcare in general, we are seeing how we're having to be so selective with how often we change masks.
Mhm.
You guys in EMS and healthcare know that we wear an N95. I still have the same 2 N95s that were issued
Mhm.
to me back in March?
Yeah, probably.
So, and there's, the rule is, once you wear it, it's done for 5 days.
Mhm.
You put it away in your brown paper bag and, you don't use it for another 5 days. You use your second one or your third one, whatever it may be, and you protect that N95. And even our surgical masks, I wear the same surgical mask my whole 48 hours.
Mhm.
And to see people just throwing them down just kind of irritates me because it's a waste. It's a waste of a product. It is taking away from people who might need them. If you just reuse it. I mean, how long have we had that plastic, or not plastic, but hospital face mask in our truck for a
Oh,
while?
we've had them forever.
Yeah. So, and people go buy these nicer face masks. I love those ones we bought at Walmart.
Oh yeah, they're super
great.
nice. Mhm.
And we can wash them.
Mhm.
So that was enlightening to me that was actually a problem that COVID started. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I'm done.
Now, but so let's get on with the. Now that you got your tangent off,
Sorry.
are you good
Soapbox.
there? Soapbox is over. So, what about the increase in those other kind of calls? We looked at an increase. John Hopkins, I believe, come out with a. No, it wasn't John Hopkins. I'm sorry, completely wrong. It was one of the children's hospitals up in Dallas.
Did you?
No.
What was that? Oh, darn it. Why'd you ask?
I don't know. I can't remember. But anyways, they come up with the statistic that actual child abuse cases were on the rise due to COVID. Domestic assault and domestic abuse cases on the rise due to COVID.
Well, sure. People are at home.
You have people at home where kids normally would have the ability to get away, get to school for 8 hours. They didn't have that ability. They were stuck at home in bad situations with a parent. Not only that, but more than likely a parent who was not working because of the layoffs. So now they're under a larger amount of stress because we have decreased funds coming in.
At home when they're not usually.
At home when they're not usually, so they're not able to handle that thought process all the time.
You're stressing me out with this abuse. I'm going to have to pour me some more wine.
You better share. I mean, you might as well. Don't make the noise.
There's only 4 cups in a bottle of wine.
Only 4 cups. But these numbers were actually on the rise because of COVID.
Yes.
I think that is some of the fallout that we look at and we say, we may not have caught COVID calls, but we caught the assaults, the domestic abuse, the things like that, the depression. So many people
suicides,
not able to handle staying at home by themselves and not getting that social interaction. Ultimately, me, of course, I was quarantined, or not so much quarantined, but we were work from home.
Sure, we were quarantined.
Yeah, we were work from home for a period of time. From
and you did. You had an office here. Yes. You taught here. You spent your hours here, and
you talk about a change in mentality, though. Because
I can understand the issues that can arise from that. It's you get used to people being gone and having.
But not only that, but the workers. My mental aspect of it is I would leave. I go from here and I go into the office.
Mhm.
This is our place when I come home to relax.
Mhm.
Well, my place of working at home was to come into the office, do my work at my desk, and then I walked through the door and
Yeah,
was
sure.
right back in the stool, same
Yeah.
place. So it kind of, I understand that the psychological aspect of that, of the separation of the two, was not there. Even if you were working from home, you had the issues of not having that separation of your
Mhm.
place of enjoyment and place of business.
So we actually had a friend, and I can't think of who it was now, but we had a friend that told us, I work from home. This is what I do. So this is how you handle that. You get up, you get ready for work like you're leaving to go to the office, right? You take your house slippers off, you put your, boots or tennis shoes or whatever, for you, sandals
Flip
to
flops,
work,
flip flops, just
flip
flip flops.
flops, the flops.
I like
And
I like my my
yeah,
flip flops.
yeah, I was gonna buy you some Crocs, but
Oh man, those would still be awesome.
But you make those distinct changes. You get ready for work. Get what you make your coffee or go get your coffee or whatever you were gonna do, and you come in here and you shut that door and you're at work. You take your break, you go out, you eat your lunch, you do whatever you need to do. Come back in here, shut the door, you're at work. And at the end of the day, you shut that computer down, go out this door, change into your shorts or whatever, which was your office clothing. But you know what I'm saying, right? You changed, into your home attire
Mhm.
and shut this door and you're not at work anymore. And that's how she handled that. And it helped her have that peace of mind and not that, well, I've got this to do and got this to do. And
But
with you, your mind.
she ultimately does that all the time,
Yes.
though, where a lot of us, like me, never had that experience and didn't know how to manage that.
Mhm.
And until she actually gave me those points, I mean, that kind of it eased my mind a little, made it a little easier during the second go round of quarantine.
But whereas I am a germophobic, your downside is your I don't want to say ADHD, but it's really kind of what it is. I mean,
100%.
so you are always thinking, your mind is always spinning,
Mhm.
and you've got 10,000 things in your head, and the sky is purple and pancakes are blue, and how many squirrels are outside? I mean, squirrel,
Oh,
and it's just crazy. But so you would come out of the office, you would do what you need, and then next thing I knew, you were back in here doing stuff.
Mhm.
So you never had that, okay, I'm done.
yeah, no. I just it was always something going and moving to be there. But I think seeing those difference numbers and seeing the changes in the increase in substance abuse, the increase in anxiety, increase in depression, I think that gave us a whole different aspect of we weren't getting the COVID calls that we expected.
No,
We
we're
weren't getting
other calls. Yeah.
the medical surge. We were dealing with a lot of the other things that were ultimately there for us to handle.
Yeah.
Depression, anxiety, and those are a lot of those calls that they don't require a lot. They require the ability to listen and an ability to understand our patients. But ultimately, they gave us that. It still gave us that the ability to run some of those calls that we don't normally run. And I think that's part of that fallout that fell through, that come through with COVID.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So now that we've got that, we've got all those. Where do we go with COVID from here? I think we're starting to see the opening up of things.
Well, I think everybody needs to realize probably the safest place to be, in my mind, is the hospital now, right? So now we're back. We're okay. Let's get you to the hospital, and they're still kind of like, I think I'll wait. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not a great idea. Let's go ahead and go in, get checked out, and Well, the COVID, yes, I understand. You got to understand that EMS and hospital, healthcare clinics, whatever, they take a lot of precautions to clean, sanitize, prepare, and keep everyone safe, including themselves, right? I mean, ultimately, I want to go back home
Mhm.
after every shift. So I am not going to do a nice little fast clean and risk getting contaminated later, right? So same thing for the hospital staff. They don't want to get sick,
Mm-mm.
lose hours, be away from their family,
They
anything
amped
like
up their
that. So
cleaning.
yes.
I will say that for most of our
I mean the
hospitals.
jails have
Yeah.
COVID janitors.
Mhm. Not
So
only that, but let's look at the changing of the convenience stores, grocery stores, the big box stores, Walmart, things like that, and decreasing their manpower, decreasing
mhm.
their hours to make sure they spent a little extra time cleaning up, making sure things were taken care of, and things like that. I think those made a huge impact.
Isn't it
Now,
funny? Because I'm the person that's like, oh, I'm going to take my cart and put it up and I'll just carry all my groceries out. Or when I'm done with my cart, instead of leaving it out in the parking lot, take it back in. But now, you're better off leaving it out there
Mhm.
because they have their steps that they have to take on going out there, getting those carts, spraying them down, sanitizing them, and putting them in safe for people to
Mhm.
take, right?
And ensuring that the next
Yeah,
guy that grabs a hold of it doesn't get
crazy.
any ear germs. Which there it goes again. How dirty were we before COVID?
I don't
I,
even want to. I don't even want to think about it.
it made a
I'm gonna have a
huge.
nightmare tonight.
Probably so. I mean, we really look at it and see how dirty that what we didn't keep
Yeah,
clean.
yeah.
We didn't worry about bags. We didn't worry about anything
Mm-mm.
before. So I think that made a difference on how it was. I think ultimately we were during COVID, hands down. EMS showed their ability. Just to recap everything for this episode, uh, hands down, EMS showed our ability to be flexible in a time of needing to be flexible. Our medical director standing up saying, hey, we need to make a change to your protocols. Guys, just bear with me.
Mhm.
We're going to deviate from what your normal would be during this time, and we're going to make it work. And the paramedics and the EMTs did an amazing job so far, and they
Absolutely.
have done an amazing job as to do those things. Not only that, but they changed the protocols on us on the
Mhm.
fly on a regular basis. Now, if you were like me, I'm one of those type of guys that once it gets time to start looking into this stuff, I was watching the numbers roll on a daily basis and seeing those changes and watching the impact of what it was happening.
Yeah.
Um, and things like that. But I think those were huge points for EMS, and where EMS really gained part of that ground of we are part of the medical community. Not only that, but now we're trying to prove just how professional and capable we are.
Yep.
I think it makes a huge difference for us in the future. I think it makes it to where any of these, the next COVID that comes out, the next novel disease that comes out, let it roll. Let's let it happen. Let's like this. We can roll with the punches and make it happen.
Yep.
Um, then we talk about changes in the call volumes. We expect one thing and they don't happen. Uh, Hopefully everybody's back on their trucks, back working again, back moving around, getting this stuff done. Hopefully you're back to those things, as well as making sure that you all are preparing yourselves and your trucks.
Mhm.
I think we've done a great job at making sure people stayed in their jobs as well,
Yep.
and compensating for those things. Then we talked about the protocol changes, changes, CPAPs, things like that. And then I think we pretty much just
Can I just say hats off to the nurses and the doctors in the ER because I'm telling you, if I had to wear that N95 for 12 hours,
hands down, they're
I
amazing.
might have to
Mhm.
fight somebody.
And to those that went and traveled and did their things,
Mm.
up where they needed to be, they felt the need to go.
Hats
Hands
off to
down.
you
Yep,
guys.
exactly.
Mm.
I think ultimately, a lot of people say, heroes are not always ones who wear capes. I think
Mm.
there was a lot to be said about our guys in the medical field, in the medical facilities, that y'all have really showed up for patients. And I think when it comes down to it, whenever this is all said and done, I think they're going to realize that, yes, the medical industry, we do charge a lot for a lot of things. But when it comes down to it, we're here for our patients. And that's who the people are here for. It makes a big difference to us.
So for the non-medical people, if you get sick, don't fret about going to the ER. Know that we're here for you. Know that we're going to take care of you. And hopefully everything's on a decrease, a downward slide now. Heck, right now you got to worry about the flu. So
right, exactly. So, all right. Well,
holy my goodness! I was so worried that we weren't going to have enough content, and now we went over further than I really wanted.
Exactly. And now, guess what? We did our COVID.
COVID is done. I don't think it was that bad.
No, I don't think so either. I think the best thing about it, the wine.
The wine was awesome. The wine made COVID so much easier to talk about. But, I'm hoping that our video worked this time. But if it did, hey guys, how awesome is this? Yes, the Winey Medic studio is coming together slowly but surely. So hands to big thanks to my sister who did the graphics on that. Big thank to you for your wonderful little woodwork there.
Oh, I know. I tried.
Yeah. And your lights. We're Jeepers, so
hey, you gotta
put lights on everything.
The lights have to go on everything. With that, so that kind of brings a close to our episode for today. What's our next episode? We want to give them a little insight on what the idea is. It was the weather.
Oh, weather.
Weather.
Oh my gosh.
Wait a minute. How?
I know I tried to discuss this like 3 times and you turned me down. Now we're going to discuss it.
We're going to discuss weather.
So, weather, how to prepare, how to get ready.
Hey,
it's going to be great, guys.
Trust me, it's not just about what we do. But anyways.
I feel like that's an intro to something.
Maybe.
Nah.
Maybe not.
So you guys hit us up on Facebook. Email us.
Don't forget to check out the podcast.
And so where can they find our podcast?
Our podcast,
they're listening to it right now, but go ahead and tell them.
But they are listed on Spotify. They're listed on Apple Podcasts. They're listed on, let's see.
Podchasers.
Deezer. Sorry. Deezer, as
Listen
well
Notes.
as Listen Notes and Podcast Addicts. So we're on a lot of formats. So you can find us under Winey Medics.
And we're
don't forget our YouTube channel. That's where the video will be for this one if everything works out right.
Hopefully, I looked at the camera a couple times.
I know.
We're working on this, so bear with us. I know a couple of our last podcast was a little dry, so I think but we're working on it, and any suggestions would be great. I would love to see some reviews, guys.
Exactly. Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Okay. Are we gonna go with it now?
Yeah.
Or are we gonna wait?
No, go ahead.
All right. So we're looking at a contest here coming up shortly.
I don't know if it's a contest. It's just like a little reward.
It's a little reward, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
We'll discuss it next one.
Oh.
Leave the hanger. All right. So I'm out of here. How about you?
I'm going to finish my wine, but yeah, I'm good.
All right. We'll talk to you later then. You guys have fun.
Bye.